Hello everybody, and welcome back to another weekly recap. In the weekly recap, I like to go over any news related to the Oldschool Runescape community this week. Now this week we have a lot of exciting news to cover. First up, Steam is actually going to be coming to Oldschool Runescape today. Later in the day, the update is going to be going through, which means we could be seeing a bunch of new players. Steam is really a huge platform, and the game could be put in front of a ton of new eyeballs. Now, because of the potential influx of players, there is going to be a brand new set of free-to-play worlds, as well as an extra long live stream this week with sneak peeks of the new combat achievements, temporos, and just introductions to the game. Now, this week we also received a really interesting poll blog for Shooting Stars. This is content that was originally a distraction and diversion from RS3, but they are looking to bring it back in Old School. Anyway guys, as always, if you do enjoy these types of videos, don't forget to leave the video a like, it really does help out. Anyway, let's get started. Okay, so let's start off by looking at Shooting Stars. Now, Shooting Stars is a piece of content that originally came out in 2008, and I actually have quite fond memories of it. It was under the umbrella of distractions and diversions, kind of like a clue scroll. You stop what you're doing to do this one piece of content for a few minutes, up to an hour, something like that, and then you resume your normal gameplay. I think that in itself is a pretty fun piece of content, and the only issue I find arises when there's just a lot of them or they require you to do them daily. Now, apparently they've actually been working on this for a couple months now, but Shooting Stars is actually a JMod's ideation idea, which means they work on it kind of in their spare time. So yeah, they're definitely going to try porting Shooting Stars to Old School RuneScape. However, they're going to make a few major tweaks to them, such as removing the daily nature of the content, rebalancing the rewards, of course, for Old School RuneScape, adding in extra landing sites, and throwing in some extra ones for free-to-play as well, because Shooting Stars will actually be free-to-play. So what exactly is a Shooting Star for those who maybe never tried it? Well, Shooting Stars will happen periodically throughout the day in Gielinor. They will fall onto the ground, and players are able to mine them for experience and also rewards. So you will get a fairly significant amount of mining experience for the amount of time you're there for, but you won't be able to find Shooting Stars very often. So sure, you may stumble upon Shooting Stars now and again, but it is also possible to find them with a telescope in your POH. Now, on every single world, a Shooting Star will fall approximately every 2 hours, and will fall at a random spot in Gielinor, although there will be predetermined locations. There's also going to be a rough 15-minute variation to make them not too predictable. Although I do imagine if there are clans or discords dedicated to this, you might actually be able to cycle between worlds and find a lot of Shooting Stars at once. Keep in mind now, the player base's age is much higher, and maybe not, their intelligence as well. So it is possible with coordination, you might actually be able to get pretty good mining experience rates, but maybe not. Now, there are 3 types of telescopes they want to add: the Oak Telescope, the Teak Telescope, and the Mahogany Telescope. Now, all 3 of them will tell you the approximate location. However, the Oak Telescope will give you a pretty wide time window of 24 minutes. The Teak Telescope will be a little bit more precise at 9 minutes, and the Mahogany Telescope will be as precise as 2 minutes. Now, they have actually doubled the amount of landing sites compared to what there was in RS2, including adding them into OSRS exclusive regions, such as Great Current and Fossil Island. Now, once you have located a Shooting Star, you can go ahead and mine it. Now, in the current proposal, the first person to mine a star will actually receive a bonus experience amount of 60 times their mining level, which is pretty significant. Now, fallen stars will come in 10 different sizes, each with a different mining level requirement. Regardless of the star size, mining any star will reward you with Stardust, which is a new untradeable currency, which you'll be able to spend at a new reward shop on a few new untradeable rewards. Now keep in mind, as you mine the star down, it will lower in size, which will make available more Stardust for lower level players. So once one size is depleted, it will shrink to a smaller size. So the highest size one will be level 90, and you're going to get around 168 experience per dust. And once you get down to the bottom, you're only going to get a little bit of experience per dust, but a lot more people will be able to mine it. Now, this will actually also be available for free to play. However, you won't be able to turn in your Stardust for rewards. However, you still can obtain it, which means you can keep it in your bank, and once you flip over to members, you'll be able to spend it then. However, keep in mind that everything in free to play will be cut in half, so you're only going to get 50% of the usual value. So there are going to be rewards beyond the mining experience. Once the star is fully mined, a new NPC will be in the middle of the star, who will happily take your Stardust in exchange for items. Now, one of the bigger criticisms of the Shooting Star poll blog is that doesn't really feel very old school to have like an alien in the middle of the star, which I would actually agree with. I think it would be a lot better just to have an existing NPC, probably a dwarf somewhere. It would just make a lot more sense and feel a bit more natural. Okay, so with the Stardust, you can buy a few new rewards. First up, the Celestial Ring. The Celestial Ring will give you a +4 mining boost when worn, and it will stack with any other invisible boost. Now it is an item that you can charge up with Stardust up to a max of 10,000 charges, and whenever it's charged, you will have a 1 in 10 chance of getting an extra ore when mining. And this extra ore will also reward the normal amount of experience when mined. So a pretty strong ring. The only problem is you can't wear the Elven ring for the crystal pickaxe. Next up here we have a star fragment that can be used on the Prospector outfit to recolor it, and a few other rudimentary things like a bag full of gems, soft clay packs, and essence packs. So a pretty cool piece of content I'd be pretty excited for. I think with just a few small tweaks it could fit very well into Old School Runescape and add a nice needed boost to, well, mining. Now for today's game update. Well, today we got probably one of the biggest things that have happened since mobile. Old School RuneScape has been added to Steam, and as of about an hour ago, you can play Old School RuneScape on Steam. Now that is exciting in itself because there is a huge audience on Steam and there could be a huge influx of players. Now beyond just the prestige of having OSRS on Steam, there are a few other big quality of life changes that went through today. Now because Steam required OSRS to have a C++ client, the entire client has been rewritten, which has allowed for a few huge quality of life improvements that we've been waiting on for a long time. First up here, the FPS cap has been increased to 60 FPS, finally bringing us in to the modern era. Previously it was like 30 or 20 or something. Now on top of a huge FPS increase, another really cool thing that they've been able to add is actually finally UI scaling, which has been something we've been sorely lacking for a long time. Now on top of those two big features, there's also going to be Steam achievements that you can unlock. I just logged in for a minute and I unlocked about half of them just by default. Now is this going to be enough to make me only use the Steam client? Probably not. Unfortunately, RuneLite is just too attractive. And I think even for new players, having the giant library of quality of life features and game improvements, stability changes, I think trying to make RuneLite compatible with Steam should have been the #1 priority. I understand it probably was going to be very difficult. Now the only reason that's going to be kind of an issue is because most of the existing player base uses a third-party client, I think like 75% or something like that, which means the vast majority of players won't be playing on the Steam client and thus won't be counted as an active player. So our player counts on Steam will not be nearly as high as they should be accurately, which means the game may not see as many new players as we would otherwise. Now Steam will actually allow you to buy membership right through the Steam store, and they will even be running discounts on it for now. Now that is it for Steam. However, today we also got a few minor changes from poll number 74. Today there's been a change to the Amulet of Blood Fury, which now allows you to charge it up to 30,000 charges instead of the current 10,000. That said, whenever you make a new amulet, it's still going to start with 10,000, so nothing has fundamentally changed except for the maximum amount of charges available. To get more than 10,000, you do need to sacrifice another blood shard, which will add an additional 10,000 charges. Now after today's game update, time tracking can now be tracked down to the game tick, which is more accurate than it previously was. Finally here, there was a small change to the Nightmare Parasite, which has changed the healing range for them to be a bit more consistent. Previously it was between 1 and 80 hit points, and now it will be between 31 and 50. This will make the fight a lot more consistent. And that is pretty much it for today's game update. Now today's live stream was really awesome. Not only did we get to introduce new players to the game, but we also revealed a lot more about some upcoming content. A sneak peek into the new fishing boss Temporos, as well as the new combat achievements. Now pretty much all of the information from the Temporos reveal is pretty much unchanged, but it did a really good job of showcasing what the actual encounter is going to look like. It looks fairly simple, requiring moderate attention, but the idea of it is pretty basic. You grab some fish, you shoot him at the boss, you avoid some damage, repair a few things, and eventually destroy Temporos. It looks like it'll probably be a bit more engaging than Wintertot, although who knows, maybe there's going to be a very easy meta that develops as well. A couple things I really like about it. First up here, I like that you actually fish your rewards out of a fishing spot in the ground. You'll get all of your rewards noted, so you're able to go through all of your reward points very easily. Other things worth noting is it will be very difficult to do as a solo player. Mod Squid, one of the designers of it, actually failed a couple times trying to do it solo, had to use some dev hacks to finish it off. But regardless, I am pretty excited for the new content. Now the second reveal was for the new combat achievements. Combat achievements look awesome, and there's a few other things coming along with it that I'm actually also really excited about. There's going to be a new updated account overview panel, which will include all of the quests that you've done, your combat achievements, your playtime, your collection log, and a few other really interesting pieces of information. The new design looks really clean. I am actually just as excited for this as any of the other content. Now for the combat achievements themselves, as we know, there are going to be 6 tiers of achievements. There will be some retroactive tasks, mostly those to do with kill count. In total, there's going to be 350 tasks, most of them weighted towards the end game content. Now they went over a brief overview of what the tasks are going to look like. Easy tasks are going to be for completely new players. Hard tasks will be stuff like God Wars, and they will be doable for pure accounts. Now, elite tasks will be those who have access to all content. They're not really going to be looking at your skill level or anything like that. Master tasks will be balanced around those people who can probably do the Inferno already. Now that's kind of insane because there's still one more tier after that. Now, Grandmaster tasks aren't necessarily going to be harder than the Inferno, but will probably be of equal difficulty. Now, during the stream, they did reveal a task list for the Theater of Blood, which had tasks involving kill count, avoiding all damage at multiple different phases during the Theater of Blood. Apparently there was a task to do the Theater of Blood with only barrels equipment, so a pretty big variety of tasks. So anyway guys, that is it for today's weekly recap. Don't forget to give Oldschool Runescape on Steam a try, leave a review on the Steam page, maybe even log in to get those achievements. Now before I go here, I want to give a massive thank you to all of my members over on YouTube. Thank you to Brian Robinson, Valhalla Lad, Brad Sings, Ocelot, and Kush Patel for all subscribing at the Dragon tier membership. You guys are awesome. Also a massive shout out to Red Kamikaze, Birdbot, Timothy Chen, and Base Titch for all subscribing at the Runite tier. I appreciate all of you guys a lot. If you guys are looking for another way to support the channel, becoming a YouTube member is an awesome way to do so. You can become immortalized in my videos, get access to my video release schedule, and get a custom role in my Discord server. Anyway guys, thanks again, and I will see you next time.